And we are back. Welcome to my final European video of the week. This is my preview and predictions for Matchday 3 of the UEFA Europa Conference League. If you still want to check out my predictions for tonight's Champions League matches, and of course all of the other matches taking place tomorrow in the Europa League, both of those videos are already out and are available to you. Links to them are available at the top of your screen. That will take you to the bottom of the page where you'll be able to click on both of those videos respectively. And of course, as always, if you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video if you enjoy all of my previews and predictions. Share it with a friend, subscribe to the channel if you are new around here with notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any of the previews and predictions we've got coming up for you. We once again have Premier League and La Liga coming up for you this weekend. And then as we head off to another international break, we'll once again be doing daily predictions for those World Cup qualifiers. So, without any further ado, let's have a look at the early kickoffs that will be taking place firstly tomorrow night. Once again, 9 early kickoffs in the Conference League and then 9 later kickoffs. So without any further ado, let's just get straight into it. And we start things off in Greece as AEK Athens host the new champions of Ireland in Shamrock Rovers for the home side. It was a 6-0 win over Aberdeen on Matchday 2, meaning that they are the highest side that has 1 win and 1 defeat so far. Since then, they have lost to Olympiacos, a Champions League side, of course, 2-0. But then it has been back-to-back 1-0 wins, bringing them into this game on some pretty good form. For Shamrock Rovers, it's been back-to-back defeats for them in the Europa Conference League so far, losing 2-0 to NK Celje last time out. And as I mentioned in my previous Conference League video, they really did limp over that finish line to win the Irish Championship, losing 2 of their final 3 league matches since Matchday 2. However, it should really be noted that in the game that they played and lost this weekend, with the title already wrapped up, they did rest the vast majority of their first team players, assumingly with this game in mind. In terms of the team news, Eliasson is out for AEK Athens. He has not played a single game since that victory over Aberdeen. For Shamrock Rovers, Honohan is out, but it should be noted that the rest of their first team will be fit and available for this match. Regardless, though, I do think anything other than a win for the Greek side would be very highly unlikely. I do expect Athens to come out with the victory here. You look at the performances Shamrock have put in this competition so far, and it doesn't tend to suggest they're going to go to Greece and get anything here. I'm starting today's video with a 3-0 victory to Athens. From AEK to AEK, as we now have Larnaca, and that is certainly how Aberdeen are going to be feeling going into this match. As we've obviously just mentioned, Aberdeen in their previous match played against AEK Athens and lost 6-0, a result that now means that they sit bottom of the table in the Conference League after also losing on match day 1. And to be honest with you, I don't think this game's going to go any easier for them because Larnaca are up in second place, having already beaten AZ Alkmaar and Crystal Palace in this Conference League so far, and they did that without conceding in either. 4-0 against AZ, 1-0 away to Crystal Palace on match day 2. So coming into this, you would have to consider them to be the strong favourites coming into this. Furthermore, they've maintained a 5-game unbeaten run since then, which includes drawing with Champions League side Pasphos and then winning against Apollon Limassol this weekend back in Cyprus. For Aberdeen, since matchday 2, they lost at home to Hibs, but then won away to Kilmarnock this weekend. So at least they've got something to try and build on coming into this match. No fresh concerns for either side coming into this match in terms of the team news, but both sides have a couple of long-term absentees that are not really that close to returning anytime soon. Knowing my luck when it comes to predicting Scottish football teams in these videos, Aberdeen will probably go to Cyprus and get the result here, but I have to be honest with you, I just think that would be a genuine shock after what we've seen from AEK so far in this competition. I'm going for a 2-0 win to Larnaca here. Next up, we have got Noah, who are going to be taking on Sigma Omoluk in the next game. And we have to give credit to the side from Armenia coming into this one, as they've made an unbeaten start to their Conference League campaign, winning on match day 1 against Rijeka and then drawing away to Craiova on match day 2. For the away side, they have lost to Fiorentina before then drawing at home to Rakow last time out. So again, not exactly the worst start for Sigma, but hardly the best. Since then, things have not been going too great for the home side domestically. 1 win and a home defeat means that they're currently 5th in the Armenian League. For Sigma, they are now 5 games unbeaten, having drawn with Champions League side Slavia Prague and then beating Mlada Borislav this weekend, who fans of this channel will remember were in the Conference League this time last season. In terms of the team news here, there are no fresh concerns for Noah. For Sigma, Chak, Slammer and Michez are all out for them. I would imagine that most people are going to consider Noah to be the favourites for this match, considering how well they've done in this campaign so far. However, I would still expect a side from Czechia to be a stronger one than a side from Armenia. And I do think, quite frankly, they are more than capable of going here and getting a result. No overall confidence in this prediction, though, so I'm not going to go all out on the away side. I am instead going to go for a 1-1 draw. I do genuinely think there is no clear favourite, even though most are assuming it is going to be Noah that take the victory. Next up, we are off to Finland, as KuPS are taking on Slovan Bratislava here. For the home side, it is 2 draws out of 2 so far against Drita and Breidablik. For Slovan, it's unfortunately the same old story for them. 2 defeats from 2 in their opening Conference League matches. And again, a reminder to you that they scored 0 points in the Champions League last season. However, their defeats against Strasbourg and AZ Alkmaar on paper are far tougher opponents than KuPS coming into this match. That being said, KuPS themselves are on a 10-game unbeaten run in all competitions and have had 2 wins and a draw since Matchday 2. For the away side, they followed Matchday 2 with a defeat, but have since won back-to-back away games. So this will be their 3rd consecutive away game. They have won their last 2. So they may be feeling a little bit more confident coming into this one. For KuPS, they're going to be without Mohamed Toure, who was sent off in that draw with Breidablik last time out. However, that is still one less suspension than what Slovan have coming into this match, as both Vladimir Weiss and Sandro Cruz are both going to be suspended for them. Interestingly, we actually have a head-to-head record between these two sides. Very, very rare in the Conference League that we actually have a head-to-head record. But these two sides met in 2020. Again, I know that's not the most recent, but at least it's something we can sort of point towards. Back then, it was a 1-1 draw that ended up going to penalties, and on that occasion, it was KuPS that took the victory. I do again think that this is going to be a close one. I think if there was to be a winner, I'd probably go in favour of Slovan here, but I do think that there is no outright favourite for this match. I think all 3 results are possible, and given the fact that KuPS have already had 2 draws in this competition already, I think that's probably the safest option to go for in this one. I'm going for a 1-1 draw yet again. Now to what is quite frankly the single hardest prediction I have had to make the entire season so far. We have Mainz taking on Fiorentina. It's Germany versus Italy, which is not something you see very often in the Conference League. You've got 2 of the bigger sides coming at it here. Both of these sides have won their opening matches in this competition. Both have done so without conceding in either match. But both sides come into this after absolutely horrendous starts to their domestic season. Just to put it in perspective, Mainz are currently 2nd from bottom in the Bundesliga. They have 5 points and they have won just 1 game in the Bundesliga. Fiorentina are rock bottom of the Serie A. They have only got 4 points so far this season and have not won a single game in Serie A. So it's just not a good look for either side coming into this, and it just makes it near impossible to call. To make things even more complicated, Fiorentina have just sacked Pioli this week, meaning that they're going to have an interim manager in charge for this match, which could mean that players are going to be fighting for their positions in this match, which could potentially lead to them being considered the favourites. In terms of that team news, there are actually no fresh injury or suspension concerns for Mainz, whereas for Fiorentina, German fullback Robin Gosens is going to be out on his potential return to Germany here. Honestly, I just cannot give you one reason why one team would come out on top in front of the other based on how these teams have played so far this season. It's an absolute horrible matchup. And if you guys have any suggestions why one should win above the other, please let me know down in the comment section below. For me, I am going to go for Fiorentina for one reason and one reason only, and that is because they have more experience in European competitions. They've gone very deep in Europe over the last few years, and that may just give them the slight edge over Mainz in this match. But honestly, this could be absolutely anything. I'm just going to go for 2-1 to Fiorentina. as I say, let me know what you think is the right way of predicting this one, given what's been going on with these two sides. Next one on paper could be considered simpler to call, but only because that previous game is near enough impossible to call. We now have Celje taking on Legia Warsaw here. For Celje, it's been back-to-back wins on match days 1 and 2, beating AEK Athens and Shamrock Rovers. They now face a Legia side who, despite losing to Samsunspor on match day 1, bounced back with a really good win away to Shakhtar Donetsk in their native Poland on match day 2. Since then, though, it's been no wins in 3 for Legia, whereas for the Slovenian side, they lost their next match after match day 2, but then got a nice home victory this weekend. In terms of the team news here, there's actually no fresh concerns for either side coming into this one, but yet again, there's a few long-term absentees that are not going to be anywhere near returning for this match. I think based on the overall form so far this season, you would probably have to consider Celje the slight favourites for this one, but just be warned, Legia have played the tougher opponents so far in this competition, so it would not be a surprise to see them travel here and get the result. I'm still going to stick with my initial instinct, though, and I'm going to go for a Celje victory. I'm going for 2-1 to the home side. Now to Samsunspor, who obviously we have just mentioned, beat Legia Warsaw on one of their more recent matches. They're going to be taking on Hamrun Spartans in this match. And in fact, the Turkish side are on a very good run of form at the moment. They are 9 games unbeaten, which includes wins on match day 1 and match day 2 against Legia and then Dynamo. For the Spartans, it's been back-to-back 1-0 defeats to Omonia and Lausanne coming into this, but since then they have had a draw and then back-to-back wins back in their native Malta. As we say every time, though, I really don't think you can look at performances against other sides from Malta and then say, well, they're on a good run of form. They're obviously going to go to Turkey and get a result against Samsunspor here. I think that would be a genuine shock, especially when you consider that Samsunspor are on that incredible run domestically as well. In terms of the team news here, Soja, Ncham and Koulibaly are all going to be doubts for the home side. I did as much looking as I possibly could for Spartans, but I could not find any potential concerns for them coming into this match. Realistically, this game should not be any problems for Samsunspor at all. On paper, they are by far the better side, and if it wasn't for the fact they've only conceded 1 per game, I'd probably go for a much heavier win for Samsunspor, but you've got to give Hamrun their credit. They have only conceded 1 goal per game so far, so I'm just going to go for a 2-0 win to Samsunspor, but it really wouldn't surprise me if it ended up being significantly more than that. Our penultimate early kickoff sees us returning to Poland once again as Shakhtar Donetsk are going to be taking on Breidablik here. Neither side making great starts to this competition. For Shakhtar, they won away to Aberdeen, but then were beaten by Legia Warsaw on match day 2. For Breidablik, it was defeat for them at Lausanne, followed by a 0-0 draw at home to KuPS last time out. Unfortunately for the away side, though, their Icelandic season has actually now come to a close, meaning that they've only played 1 match since match day 2 and are going to have no other competitive games throughout the rest of this competition in between any of their remaining matches. That one game they have played in the build-up to this one, though, was a 3-2 victory, but that was now over 10 days ago, whereas for Shakhtar, they have played 3 games since then, winning the first of those matches and then playing back-to-back games against fellow conference side Dynamo Kyiv, where Kyiv knocked them out of the cup, but then back in the league, it was Shakhtar who came out on top 3-1 this weekend. In terms of the team news here, the only concern for Shakhtar is exactly as it was last time, as winger Santana remains to be out. No fresh concerns for the Icelandic side coming out of their long break coming into this one. Personally, I once again believe that the home side should be considered the favourites for this match. They're playing more regularly, they're also playing the tougher opposition so far in this competition, and for me, they've obviously been playing more regularly over the last few weeks and in my opinion have been performing better so far in this competition. I believe this is going to be a Shakhtar victory and I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to the side from Ukraine. And then our final early kickoff sees Sparta Prague taking on Rakow. For Sparta, it was a victory over Shamrock Rovers, backed up with defeat to Rijeka last time out, whereas for Rakow, their victory over Craiova was backed up by a 1-1 draw away to Sigma Umaluk in their last game, who, let's not forget, are another side from Czechia coming into this match. So it would be a bit of a leap to suggest that Sparta are going to be the strong favourites for this match, when Rakow have already travelled to Czechia so far in this tournament and got a draw, although on paper Sparta Prague are a slightly stronger side coming into this. That being said though, when you consider that they lost again this weekend, meaning that they are no longer top of the Czech league coming into this here, and Rakow have won all 3 of their games in Poland since Matchday 2, including a 2-1 away win to fellow conference side Legia Białystok this weekend. The momentum is certainly in favour of the away side coming into this match. In terms of the team news, Haraslin finally made his return for Sparta Prague this weekend, although it's unclear how much of this match he's going to be able to play. No fresh concerns for Rakow, but also no returns for them either, as they are another side that does have a fair few long-term injuries. Naturally, I do think it should be assumed that Sparta Prague are going to be the favourites for this match. It should be noted that when they played Sigma in the league, they did beat them. So again, even though Rakow got that draw against them, Sparta, on paper, the slightly stronger Czech side. So I am still going to go for them, but I'm going to put that again with that massive heed warning saying that Rakow are a very capable side and could quite easily come here and get a result. I'm going to go for that narrow Czech victory though, and I'm going for a 2-1 victory to Sparta Prague. As we always do before we head off to the later kickoffs, let's round up everything that you have been saying regarding these early kickoffs tomorrow night. And you have gone for the following. Majority think Athens are going to beat Shamrock. Majority think Larnaca are going to beat Aberdeen. Majority do think that Noah are going to beat Sigma. More of you going for Slovan over KuPS. Most of you going for Mainz to beat Fiorentina, which, yeah, it's fair enough. It's an impossible prediction. Majority are going for Legia to beat Celje. Again, doesn't really surprise me, but I do think that one will be close. Unsurprisingly, basically everyone thinks Samsunspor are going to beat Hamrun Spartans. Unsurprisingly, most think Shakhtar Donetsk are going to beat Breidablik. And unsurprisingly, most think Sparta Prague are going to beat Rakow. Let's now move on then to those later kickoffs, as we remind you that you still have time to get involved with community predictions for La Liga and the Premier League this week, as those polls are now up on the community page. But as for those later kickoffs, we start off with arguably the biggest game of the night, which is Crystal Palace taking on AZ Alkmaar. Where coming into this, both sides have 1 win and 1 defeat so far in this competition. And for both of them, their defeats were at the hands of AEK Larnaca. Obviously, AZ losing 4-0 on Matchday 1, Palace losing 1-0 at home to them on Matchday 2. Since then, though, it's really been the away side that has seized the initiative coming into this match. 5 back-to-back wins for AZ, which includes their victory over Slovan on Matchday 2, but also includes victories against Champions League side Ajax and Europa League side Utrecht, all in the space of this month. As for Crystal Palace, they have been back on form themselves over the last couple of weeks, with back-to-back victories over Premier League winners Liverpool and then Brentford this weekend. Both of those matches wins without conceding. So my expectation for this match is we are going to see a very high quality contest here. In terms of the team news, Adam Wharton remains a doubt for Crystal Palace. He was ill for that victory over Brentford at the weekend, and Eddie Nketiah is out with a hamstring injury. Jordy Claessy remains a doubt for AZ coming into this one. I do think that most people are going to expect Crystal Palace to be the side that comes out on top here, and I'm no different. However, let's not forget that they did lose at home on Matchday 2, and AZ are on a very good run at the moment. I do think, again, that all 3 results are possible here, but I'm just about going to back Crystal Palace to come out on top. I'm going to go for a very narrow 1-0 win to the Eagles, but we shall see. Dutch side on really good form. A side that really isn't on good form is Dynamo Kyiv, who are going to be facing Zrinjski Mostar in this match. For the Ukrainian side, they have lost both of their opening 2 matches without scoring. That being said, they have played 2 difficult sides in Crystal Palace and Samsunspor 2 so far. For Mostar, their rollercoaster journey through this Conference League has seen them go from 36th to 1st and then down to 13th after losing to Mainz on Matchday 2, but they do come into this with some confidence after beating former conference side Bora Banja Luka a couple of weeks ago, and they did get another victory this weekend. As we mentioned earlier in this video, Dynamo Kyiv did beat Shakhtar Donetsk in the cup, but were then beaten back by them this weekend in the league. So confidence is not going to be great coming into this one. In terms of the team news, Shaparenko and Torres are doubts, having only just returned from injuries this weekend. Savic is going to be suspended for Mostar after seeing red in their defeats to Mainz. As with many of the other games so far, I do think that this could be a very close run thing. But with most of the other games so far, I do think that the home side should be considered the favourites for this match. And for me, this is your classic 2-1 win to the home side. Again, I know I say home side. I know Poland is not Kyiv, but it is what it is. And I do think that it is going to be the side from Kyiv that come out on top here. And I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Dynamo. Next up, it is Hacken taking on Strasbourg, where up until this weekend, I probably would have said this is a relatively easy one to call, as Strasbourg were on a very decent run of form. They're not on a perfect run of form, but they're on a relatively decent run of form, which includes 1 win and 1 draw in this competition so far. However, this weekend, they were hammered 4-1 by Rennes, who had not won a game for 6 matches before this weekend. So now I'm a little less convinced in this French side coming into this match. And obviously Hacken haven't been doing too bad in this competition so far. 2 draws from their opening 2 matches. And the most recent of those was against Rayo Vallecano last time out. Although it took a 90 plus 13 minute equaliser. 103rd minute of normal time for Vallecano to get their equaliser last time out against Hacken. So they really were robbed of a couple of points there, although I didn't see the actual penalty incident. Draws have now really become Harken's thing over the last few weeks, as their last 4 matches in all competitions have ended in a draw. So you can probably see where my head is now starting to lean when it comes to this prediction, especially when you consider what's happened to Strasbourg over the last couple of weeks. Coming into this, there's actually no fresh injury or suspension concerns for either side coming into this match. So we're basically looking at how they perform this weekend in terms of determining the starting lineup. The reason I say that is because in the last game, Strasbourg did make changes and they paid for it with that draw against Jagiellonia by rotating a lot of their key players. I fear if they do so again in this match, they're going to ultimately end up paying the same price here. As I mentioned already, I think this is going to be leaning more towards the draw, especially when you consider all of Harken's results over the last couple of weeks. Without any doubt in my mind, Strasbourg should still be considered the favourites for this match, and I still think it would be a surprise if they didn't come out on top. But I am going to go for that draw, and I'm going to go for 2-2 for Hacken and Strasbourg. Next up, it is Shkendija, who are going to be taking on Legia. As we have literally just mentioned, for the away side, they drew to Strasbourg last time out, which takes them on to 4 points from their opening 2 matches. For the home side, they picked up a win on Matchday 2, beating Shelbourne at home. Weirdly though, since then, both sides have lost 1 game at home and won 1 game away. For the away side, it was that defeat to Rakow this weekend, which we spoke about in an earlier part of this video. But incredibly, both sides actually have the exact same record over their last 5 matches as well, with it being 2 wins, 2 losses and 1 draw in those last 5 matches. So there genuinely is no outright momentum for either side coming into this match. In terms of the team news, I'll be honest, I genuinely couldn't find anything about the team news regarding the Macedonian side coming into this match. So I am going to have to take the assumption they are as they were for their previous match. As for the away side, their goalkeeper Abramovich remains out with an injury which saw him miss that draw on Matchday 2. If I had to pick an outright favourite for this match, I probably would go for the Polish side. However, Shkendija have had a very, very good record so far at home in Europe, and I think they will have enough to get at least a point from this match here. I was very, very tempted to go for a 0-0 draw, but it takes a lot of proof for me to actually go for a 0-0 draw. So I'm not going to go for it. I'm just going to go for a 1-1 draw instead. I do think all 3 results are possible. But again, if I had to pick a favourite, I would go for the away side. Off to Switzerland now, where we have Lausanne taking on Omonia Nicosia. And for those of you who watched yesterday's Europa League video, you will know that Lausanne very recently beat Europa League side Basel 5-1, which is an incredible result for them. Since then, though, they have had a defeat against Servette before beating FC Zurich this weekend. Lausanne, of course, have also won both of their opening matches in this competition as well. As for the away side, they lost 1-0 to Mainz on Matchday 1, but since then have been on a 5-game unbeaten run, which included a draw with Drita last time out in this competition, and they have secured a victory over Champions League side Paphos in the last couple of weeks as well. In terms of the team news coming into this one, again, there are actually no fresh injury or suspension concerns for either side coming into this one. So we are just going on face value. And for me, that face value tells me that it is the Swiss side that should be considered the overwhelming favourites for this match. I think if the game was being played in Cyprus, it'd be a little bit closer. But in Switzerland, with Lausanne in the form that they're in, it would be a surprise to me if they didn't end up being the ones that come out on top. I'm going for a 2-0 victory to Lausanne. Which then takes us to a massive, massive apology. On match day 2, I said here that Lincoln Red Imps would lose 5-1 at home to Lech Poznan. Not only did they not get thrashed, not only did they not lose, but they actually beat Lech Poznan. So I hold my hands up on that one, and I say a massive apology to any Lincoln Red Imp fans that are watching this video. Fair play to you. Very, very good result, especially when you consider that they lost 5-0 on match day 1. So 14 teams in this competition haven't got a victory yet. So fair play to them. They're doing very, very well if they can keep that sort of momentum up going into this game against Rijeka. Rijeka have also lost and then won, beating Sparta on match day 2. So they're also in a fairly decent position. However, they do come into this off defeat against Europa League side Dinamo Zagreb this weekend. For Lincoln Red Imps, unsurprisingly, they have continued their domination of the Gibraltar League with back-to-back victories since match day 2. And it should be noted that their win 2 weeks ago was actually the first ever win from a side from Gibraltar in any European competition. So a massive piece of history for them with that victory last time out as well. In terms of the team news, Brito remains out for the home side, whereas for the away side, Janovic is out after seeing a red card against Noah on match day 1. He remains suspended following that decision. Unfortunately, even though I've bigged them up throughout this prediction, I'm still going to go for Rijeka to win this match because I still have to say that on paper, a side from Croatia would be expected to beat a side from Gibraltar. Let's not forget that in World Cup qualifying, Croatia and Gibraltar have been in the same group, and the aggregate scoreline across those two matches was 10-0 to Croatia. I don't think this is going to be anywhere near as severe as that. I think it has the potential to be as severe as that, but I'm going to be a lot more respectful to Lincoln Red Imps this time around. I'm still going to give them the loss, but I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Rijeka. But best of luck to them. Let's see if they can pull off the upset once again here. Now, to two sides that have been very, very poor so far in this competition. Neither of them have picked up victories in this competition, which again is something that the Red Imps can absolutely say. For Craiova, at least they managed to get a point against Noah on match day 2, whereas for Rapid Vienna, they have lost 4-1 to Lech Poznan and then lost 3-0 at home to Fiorentina last time out, which leaves them all the way down in 35th in the Conference League so far. That being said, it seems that that result has sort of sparked their season back into life, because after that Fiorentina result, they had lost 5 games in a row, and now they've bounced back with 3 consecutive wins, beating Europa League side Sturm Graz this weekend as well. For Craiova, they're on a fairly decent run themselves. They are now 5 games unbeaten, but have drawn 2 of those 3 matches since match day 2, and obviously it was a draw for them on match day 2 as well. Their most recent result was a draw this weekend, bizarrely, against another side called Rapid in Rapid Bucuresti. So very weird how they have to play 2 Rapids in a row. In terms of the team news, Nboyi and Schüller are both out for Rapid Vienna. No fresh concerns for the side for Romania coming into this one. Surely this is a Rapid Vienna win. The form that they've been in over the last few weeks strongly suggests that the side from Austria should be taking the result here. But just be warned, they've been poor in this competition so far. And if they do fail to get the result here, I think we're definitely going to be re-evaluating their credentials when it comes to match day 4. But for now, I'm giving them one last chance, and I'm going to go for a 3-0 victory to the Austrian side. Our penultimate game then is about Rayo Vallecano and the side that we've been talking about non-stop over the last couple predictions, which is, of course, Lech Poznan, who we know beat Rapid Vienna on match day 1 and then lost to Lincoln Red Imps on match day 2. And now they must travel to Spain to face a Vallecano side who have 4 points from their opening 2 matches, having beaten Shkendija and then drawing 2-2 with Hacken last time out. Although, if you remember, it was that 103rd minute penalty which secured them that draw against Hacken last time out. Since then, both sides have been in what we would call okay form. Vallecano beating Alaves, then winning against lower league opposition in the Copa del Rey. But then it was a 4-0 defeat to Champions League side Villarreal this weekend. For Lech Poznan, 1 win and 2 draws, including a draw at home to Motor Lublin this weekend. So neither side coming into this one off a positive result at the weekend, but both will still be feeling okay, I guess, coming into this one. In terms of the team news, Unai Lopez is a doubt for the home side. No fresh concerns for our fourth and final side from Poland coming into this fixture. I know it sounds daft to say, but I'm just going to go for Vallecano to win because I think they're a better team. Like, there really shouldn't be too much more to it than that. If a side from La Liga isn't beating a side from Poland at home, then I don't really know what they're doing in this competition. They should be winning this one fairly comfortably, and that is exactly what I think they're going to do. I'm going to go for a 4-1 victory to Vallecano. And then last, but certainly not least, we have Shelbourne taking on Drita. For Shelbourne, it's been a draw, then a defeat. Bizarrely, across those 2 matches, 0 goals scored, but only 1 goal conceded. They're taking on a Drita side here that have played 2, drawn 2, both 1-1 draws against KuPS and then Omonia Nicosia. Since then, it's a win and a draw to round off the domestic season for Shelbourne. They ended up finishing in 3rd place, with obviously Shamrock Rovers finishing top of that division. For the Kosovan side, it's been 2 wins at home, including a win this weekend after a mid-week defeat away. So, again, you wouldn't say either side are on the best form coming into this match, but at the same time, they're both going to be feeling relatively confident here as well. No fresh injury or suspension concerns for either side coming into this one either. And again, coming into this is another one of those fixtures that really is just next to impossible to call because naturally there's no head-to-head record between these two sides. It's not very often you'll see a side from Ireland taking on a side from Kosovo, so you can't really look into the history of those sort of things either. Realistically, you've just got to look at how these two sides have performed in their opening 2 match days and try and determine what the result's going to be from there. And the way I look at it, I actually think that it is going to be a 0-0 draw. I think both sides have defended relatively well so far. I look at Shelbourne, I don't really think they're going to have that much going forward for them. And sure, at home, you would probably make them the slight favourites for this match. But honestly, I've not seen enough to suggest that either side are going to come out on top in this fixture. I'm going to end it with a very, very boring 0-0 draw between Shelbourne and Drita. And that is going to be it for not only this European video, but the entire week of European previews and predictions on the channel. As always, a massive thank you very much for watching all 3 videos if you made it all the way through them all. Let's round it off by seeing what you guys have been saying for the remaining 9 fixtures this week, and you have gone for the following. Majority think Palace are going to beat AZ Alkmaar. Basically, everyone thinks Dynamo Kyiv beats Zrinjski Mostar. Majority have gone for Strasbourg to beat Hacken, which is absolutely fair enough. Majority have gone for Legia to beat Shkendija. Majority have gone for Lausanne to beat Omonia. Majority have stuck with me going with Rijeka to beat Lincoln Red Imps. Basically, everyone thinks Rapid Vienna are going to beat Craiova. Basically, everyone thinks that Vallecano are going to beat Lech Poznan. And basically, everyone thinks that Shelbourne are going to beat Drita. So, we'll see if I'm wrong on that one. We'll see if you guys are right on that one. But let's pop mine back up on the screen one last time. As I once again say, a massive thank you very much for watching. Let me know down in the comment section everything you think is going to happen across the European week. And of course, don't forget to head over to that community page to have your say on every single Premier League game and every single La Liga game taking place this weekend. A final thank you very much for watching once again. I'll see you on Friday morning for those 2 domestic league videos. I'll see you there.